This is a maximum red alert to the president and to the people of the United States, the people of the world. This is a red alert. The deep state allied with the Communist Chinese and the EU is openly announcing plans to remove the president from the White House unlawfully. You ordered the director of national intelligence to work with the other intelligence agencies to release the information last year. Where is it? You ordered months and months ago that John Brennan, you ordered his national security clearance to be taken so he couldn't keep sabotaging the country. That arrogant piece of filth still has the highest level national security clearance.
Now the deep state's actually protecting their own and not listening to the president's orders. I was sitting in the White House when President Trump said, I want his security clearance taken.
So as you know, I declassified everything they want. I put it under the auspices of the Attorney General. He's going to be in charge of it. He's a great gentleman and a highly respected man. So everything that they need is declassified, and they'll be able to see how this how the hoax or witch hunt started and why it started. It was an attempted coup or an attempted takedown of the President of the United States.
This is not an action adventure movie. This is not Patriot Games re-airing on HBO. This is not a spy thriller. This is the United States of America on planet Earth in the year 2019, June 6th. I am your host, Alex Jones. This is a direct warning to the President of the United States. We have issued previous warnings, Mr. President, that you now have seen in hindsight were absolutely on target with precision, because we're following the enemy's own statements and own operations. Now, obviously, Mr. President, you're aware of a lot of this, and you understand that if you can't control the government, it undermines your authority. So if you make a big deal out of that, it makes you look weaker. I understand that. But at this point, you have to go after the deep state criminally, and not just for the illegal spying and trying to overthrow the election and trying to frame you and your family and myself and so many others, but for the brazen mutiny, the high mutiny that is taking place right now. Now, let's be clear. If you go back 2+ years ago, we were the first news organization to lay out the mutiny, to lay out the treason, to lay out how this was taking place. Now, what are the new examples of it that are very cut and dry? You order all the JFK documents released. They wait a week, they say no, they edit them, and then they release it, countermanding your orders as the elected commander-in-chief. Then you ordered all of our troops within 1 year. After 18 years or 19 years, America's longest war, withdrawn from Afghanistan. They just countermanded your order. You ordered all the troops taken out of Syria, and the Pentagon balked until you forced them to. And there was a build down, as it's called, to just a few hundred, still thumbing their noses. Let's expand. You ordered last year all of the Russiagate information declassified. I have the news articles. In case you've forgotten, I know you have a busy schedule. I'm going to show the date and time when you said it. Then, 2 weeks ago, on May 16th, you have a presser out there in front of the helicopter, and you say, I'm ordering it all declassified. Everything about the campaign, everything about the spying on me, and anything to do with Russiagate, so you can see I have nothing to do with Russia, but you'll find out who has things to do with Russia. Exactly. Your instincts and your guts are infinity accurate on this. It's the right thing to do. But they have defied you. And I've been pointing this out for weeks. Well, now Senator Rand Paul, we'll play the clip here in a moment, has come out and pointed out the trillion-pound elephant in the room and said that they are ignoring your order and that that's illegal. You ordered the director of national intelligence to work with the other intelligence agencies to release the information last year. Where is it? You ordered months and months ago that John Brennan, a seditious, mutinous, lying member of the Communist Party, Wahhabist dirtbag, who illegally spied on you in the campaign, who tried to put you and your family in jail. You ordered his national security clearance to be taken so he couldn't keep sabotaging the country. And months and months and months, what is it, 4 months later, that arrogant piece of filth still has the highest level national security clearance. And that means he can go into government and use the clearance to come out and lie and say that he saw classified information, that you're a Russian agent. Just like people use non-disclosures to not tell the truth, but to lie and say, oh, I can't tell you because of a non-disclosure. They're using the national security clearances to sell data, to sell influence, to sell intel and get massive corporate jobs at places like CNN, where all these former Obama criminals have been hired. Brennan, Clapper, all of them. And then they sit there and they defy you and the American people and common sense in everybody's face. Mr. President, you can and you must take action. This is criminal activity. These bureaucrats brag in the news that they take orders you've given off the desk and hope you forget it. They ignore all your other lawful orders. They sabotage at every level. They leak disinfo that's criminal at every level. And none of them have been prosecuted. But no, Mr. President, instead, your inaction on not calling them out publicly and ordering them to be arrested when they've clearly committed crimes has created a power vacuum where they don't respect you. What did Atlantic Monthly headline say a few weeks ago? It said, Google, don't listen to Trump. He's all hot air. He may say he's coming after you, but he'll forget about it. What they meant was he'll order it to take place. You'll order it, and then they'll just say, yes, sir, and not do it. We get it, sir. We understand. You need to find out who's not following those orders, and you need to have them indicted because it's criminal espionage when you engage in that type of information and that type of criminal activity against the country for corporate or governmental interest. If I snuck in the White House and stole papers off your desk, I would be arrested for very high crimes. These people have sworn oaths to do all this, and they're inside the White House like a pack of vipers doing this. And I know you're frustrated by it. But that's not even the big news. When we come back, I'll break it down. Mr. President, you've discovered and we've exposed the attempted coup, the attempted takedown, the overthrow of an elected government. And you said criminal action's coming, and we were told there's grand juries out, and that's good. But if they were that bold to do this before, they're going to be even more bold now because they're cornered rats. And we see the layout and the blueprint for how they intend to remove you from office. So my message to the president and the American people is this. Our country is in dire straits. And the president's tried to do a good job turning us around from the path we were on. But if we don't admit to ourselves just how serious the crisis is, we have no capability or hope of ever turning this around. We are faced with brazen, arrogant, organized, criminal activity by out-of-control rogue government groups allied with the neocons and the Democrats and the Chi-Coms and multinationals engaged in high-level mutiny and criminal activity. And if you can't even get Brennan's security clearance pulled, when that's 100% your purview, then you can't govern. Mr. President, it's time to take action against these criminals. It's time to treat them like the scum they are. This is a maximum red alert to the president and to the people of the United States, the people of the world. This is a red alert. The deep state allied with the communist Chinese and the EU is openly announcing plans to remove the president from the White House unlawfully. And their preparations are now public, and they are beginning to prepare to go live with their plan. Again, we first warned the world of this more than 2.5 years ago. The first coup plan has been exposed. Now they're going with a new operation, but it has some of the old pieces in it. And we're going to expose it right now in an emergency message to the president that I know he'll end up seeing tonight or tomorrow, and that will also get out to other key people, many of which are already watching right now. But it is critical that all listeners on radio and all viewers on TV and all folks listening to us or watching us at newswars.com and infowars.com get this verboten transmission out. So I laid out, and I'll play a Rand Paul clip here in a moment, Senator Paul clip in a moment. We laid out how there has been a mutiny on Trump saying declassify the whole Russiagate and the Spygate information that will totally vindicate him even further, and the American people even further, and that historic election even further, and will expose the criminal activities of the deep state. But that's the current mutiny and current crimes being committed, where the president says fire John Brennan, and 4 months later it hasn't been done, and now Senator Paul is making an issue of it. But that's only part of it. Here is the key. The reason that the mutiny must be moved against is the mutiny is the vehicle for the removal of the president. Via the 25th Amendment, anyone in Trump's orbit is being threatened, is being harassed, is being set up. Sex operatives are being sent in. Money is being offered. It's unbelievable. It's beyond a James Bond movie, okay? I can tell you personally. This is a real war. And if they can't find dirt on you, they just start threatening your family and trying to find dirt on them. It's serious. We're talking billions are being spent by breakaway rogue elements, or Trump calls them embedded groups. The technical name is stay-behind networks put in by Brennan, Clapper, and others. So listen to me very carefully, ladies and gentlemen. They are getting all these people around the president that have been threatened or given money or promised money or set up or blackmailed. The orders that coming soon, they're going to announce that the president has had a mental breakdown. And they're going to have witnesses come forward and say that he's done outrageous things. And then the president has a stroke or a heart attack and goes to the hospital. And they don't want to kill you, Mr. President, because that would be too obvious, turning you into a martyr. You'll be kept in a vegetative state to later be rolled out after electroshock and drugging. This is the plan. To admit that you were a bad person and to agree with the left, and you will then be like a POW that's been in a Vietnamese, Viet Cong brainwashing facility. Now, that's one of their main tracks. That's one of their main working plans. But that's multi-levels into the plan. But that's what they're dreaming about. Regardless, they are preparing via these coup groups that are engaged in mutiny, that are already not following your lawful orders, to then have those networks stand up and denounce you and then make even more heinous made-up leaks than they've done before to remove you. And you see Pelosi and others announcing that they're going to have these big events at the Capitol and have experts up to talk about how you're mentally ill and how you're a buffoon and how you're an idiot. And you see the media then going with all those talking points. Document cam shot, please. So this is the plan. This is the operation. And they are not giving up. They're intending to go into overdrive. So it's not just critical to get the mutineers out because you can't get your agenda through. It's critical because they are the skeletal infrastructure of the 25th Amendment coup. Report, Congress holding secret conversations about removing Trump. Remember that? May 4th, 2017, we broke all of that, now all confirmed. Years later, Democrats suggested invoking 25th Amendment unless Trump gets a grip. House Democrats plan event, this is this week, years later, to scrutinize Trump's mental health. That's the plan. Beat the drum about his health, and then magically the health fails. And Trump already knows this. That's why he has trusted people literally go out and get him fast food and stuff that he knows they're not going to have operatives inside those facilities. I mean, Trump knows what's going on, but he's got to go ahead and just tell the public. We already know. We're ready for action. I understand it hurts confidence to admit there's been not just a coup against you, but a bureaucratic coup that succeeded. But that's not your fault. But it is your fault if you don't start calling people out and if Barr doesn't start prosecuting them, because this is completely naked. It's completely provable. It's completely factual. They've been illegally leaking disinfo, and it's criminal. House Democrats plan an event to scrutinize Trump's mental health, the Hill. And, of course, this. Pelosi says she doesn't want impeachment. Well, yeah, she doesn't have the votes in the Senate. She wants him in prison. Kind of like Paul Manafort, who was working for the Podestas. Didn't do anything wrong, but he's in solitary confinement, close to death, in Rikers Island. That's a max security facility. In solitary confinement, trying to make him break mentally so that he will then lie about Trump. And all he's got to do is come out and lie about the president. And what does the president do? No pardon for Manafort. What does the president do? Nothing for Julian Assange. Does that signal loyalty from people? I'm sure you know what you're doing, Mr. Trump, President Trump. I respect you. I think you're amazing. But I got to tell you, your instinct to go after these people is right. And I understand they're not following your orders. I got a great crew of like 100 people, but a lot of times, it's hard to get things done I want done because there's a lot of things and a lot of working parts here. I get it. But if you do not come out against these people and their treason, it allows them to look like they're actually in command, because that's what they did during the campaign and when you got elected and when you got into office, was tell everybody that you were a Russian agent, so it was legitimate to have large sections of the government move against you and not let you take power because you were a Russian agent. Of course, that's a lie. But they haven't dropped the fact that you're supposedly a Russian agent with their coup, because here's the key. Their coup was partially successful because they left their people behind in government, and they believe they're actually following their duty in many cases because they drink the Kool-Aid that you're a Russian agent. So instead of having them arrested for their espionage against the campaign of the American people for the globalists, why not just have them indicted for not following legal and lawful orders? Why not just have them fired? Because you ordered Obama's orders to spy on you released. That will devastate him. So because you ordered the move that would actually defeat these scum, they have engaged in mutiny. And all you've got to do is put people in charge that will actually follow their lawful orders, and they're done. And I know you know that, Mr. President. But I'm stating the facts for everybody watching, everybody listening, so they understand how serious this is, because they are saying they're getting ready to move against you with a 25th Amendment coup, and they're not just going to let you sit up there well-spoken with your charisma and defeat that when they say you're a lunatic. They're going to poison your ass, Mr. President, so you better watch your six. We're all praying for you. Please pray for InfoWars as well. More straight ahead. We'll play that Rand Paul clip as well. Communist China has said, I've got the articles right here, they're in a state of war with the U.S. They've been in a state of war with us for a long time. And they're working with the CFR and the globalists to literally dominate and control this country. We finally got a president that isn't out to get the nation. And these criminals have lined up in mass against him. So we're not in fantasy land here. We're in the real world. And they've announced they're going to remove the president using the 25th Amendment. No secret intel there. And they've said we've got people all around him, and they're going to come out at a certain point very soon, next few months, and denounce the president. Now, again, the president's made the right moves. He ordered, let me show you the article, last year, the declassification of all the fake Spygate garbage. It'll burn Obama and burn Hillary and burn every one of those criminals that's been lying and using the security services against the American people. But they didn't do it last year, and I'm predicting it's not going to happen this year unless President Trump cracks the whip. Now, William Binney, former head of the NSA, he actually ran it, not the political head, the head of technical, the number 2. Like you've got a political captain, then you've got the real captain, famous codebreaker, mathematician. He's joining us, and he says the word is we're looking at 5 to 10 days and that it's actually happening this time. If that's the case, they could try to move against Trump before that happens. They are really upset. They are really scared right now because they've committed a lot of crimes, which, again, if you've already killed 4 or 5 people and you know you're going to get the death penalty, they call that armed and dangerous. You're armed. You have nothing to lose. Extreme care. These are cornered rats. And so my message isn't even so much the president. I know the president knows this stuff. It's the American people. I would be calling Congress. I would be calling C-SPAN. I would be calling talk radio. I would be picketing. Do not try to remove our president. I would be going to leftist events and peacefully getting in their face because if they remove the president or say he's had a stroke or say he's had a mental collapse, I don't think they want to kill him at this point because they know that'll be a civil war they'll lose. But if they can say he has a mental collapse and have a bunch of cowards around him come out and lie about him while he's incapacitated, they might get away with it. And I'm telling you, that's the best thinking on this right now. And the president understands this. I can tell you right now, he does not take food or drink for 2+ years from anybody he doesn't know. He has special people go back in the dining room and go right to where the food's at and where it's being served to get it himself. William Binney testified secretly to the intelligence committees and went and ate at the cafeteria that day. Almost killed him. He lost both his legs. And he'll tell you he was poisoned. Came within inches of dying. So don't think this doesn't go on. Oh, and what did Binney expose? That Obama and the rest of them were using the NSA for political control in America. And then the DEA leaked to us a list of Americans being spied on for being prominent conservatives by Obama. 11 years ago, right when he got in office, 10.5 years ago, my name and my numbers and phone numbers nobody's got. Phone numbers I forgot about, fax lines that I just paid the bill on. They're all in there. You think about that. Our taxpayer money used by those dirtbags to have active leftist SJW cores. They've got special units. Listen to everything I say to my wife, my father, my mother, my children. What a bunch of sick freaks. But you look at Twitter, you look at Facebook, you look at all of them, they all spy on what you do as well. They created the SJWs at the colleges, made them think it was normal in their echo chambers, and then deployed them to government and big tech to run our lives. But they didn't fully convert police and the military to their new leftist system. Those systems weren't perfect, but they rejected the programming. And so now the country is in a real civil war, intellectual, economic, and physical. The left's trying to bully everyone, attack everyone, and it's a fight for our very lives. So again, we'll pull it up here. Trump ordered it declassified last year. Last year. And what's Pelosi's response? Pelosi's response is, we want to arrest him. We want Trump in prison. Meanwhile, Brennan keeps his security clearance because the bureaucracy, she says, we run America, not the American people. Isn't that interesting? Trump inflames war on Justice Department by declassifying Russia docs. That was September last year, but they just ignored him, and it didn't happen. And now he did it again in the middle of May. Where are the documents? They're going through them all and deciding to not do what the president says. Pretty big deal. That's called a rogue hijacking. It's beyond a mutiny. Our government has been hijacked by a bunch of globalists that literally tell us the country was never great, it'll never be great. It's amazing. So here's Trump back in May, ordering the declassification of everything. Here it is.
We want to be very transparent. So as you know, I declassified everything they want. I put it under the auspices of the Attorney General. He's going to be in charge of it. He's a great gentleman and a highly respected man. So everything that they need is declassified, and they'll be able to see how this how the hoax or witch hunt started and why it started. It was an attempted coup or an attempted takedown of the President of the United States. It should never, ever happen to anybody else. So it's very important. Now, people have been asking me.
Okay, so let's stop right there. Yes, an attempted coup. It's all admitted. We're just sitting here. There's been an attempted coup, and all the people that did it are just sitting there calling for you to be put in prison. Because what else do they have to do? And now they're going to try to remove you again, because when people try to kill you politically and you let them get away with it, what are they going to do again? They're going to take another shot. And those of us that have stood for the country get to get run over by these people using government money against us and our families. President Trump, take action now. They drew first blood 1,000 times. They started it all. And I don't want red blood. I want justice. I want action in the criminal justice system against these people. Here's Rand Paul talking about the current mutiny. Here it is.
I want to ask you, because you've been such a you've been really a critic of John Brennan, who's been a critic of President Trump. You've not been a big fan of him. You said that. He's the former CIA director under President Obama. What do you think about this recent New York Times story that Brennan still has his security clearance? This was such a big, I guess, promise of the president's, demand of the president's. He said he'd pull it, and he still has it.
Well, this is what worries me. People talk about the state. Now the deep state's actually protecting their own and not listening to the president's orders. I was sitting in the White House when President Trump said, I want his security clearance taken. And I saw the order given. I saw the chief of staff was there, not the current chief of staff, the previous chief of staff. And if they're working against the odds of the president, that really does disrupt our country, does disrupt a representative democracy where the president makes a decision. If someone is countermanding that, I think we need to get to the bottom of that. And I hope President will say.
Absolutely. And again, we've not edited that clip. It's a bad internet copy, but we're going to find a better copy. That's a big deal, okay? And we all just, even Rand Paul's taking like it's no big deal. Oh, I was there when he gave the order, but you've got to get it in writing. You've got to make a big issue about it. He has to get these people by the neck and say, you're going to do what I tell you, you little scumbag. But they're all a bunch of crooks protecting each other. They're the swamp. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget we have a new special at InfoWarsStore.com. Without your funding, we will not be here. It's the Total Super Force Special Sale. Why? Because everything with force in the name is 50% off. DNA Force Plus, an incredible deal. Brain Force Plus, Turbo Force, Ultimate Female Force, all 50% off. And 33% off the new Space Force America's Back designer t-shirt. Space Force. Space Force.
Space Force. Space Force. Space Force. Space Force. Space Force.
We made the shuttle a little bit more high-tech looking. We put 1776 on its right wing, of course. And it's got a red, white, and blue American flag on the right shoulder with Infowars.com. We've had a few shirts that have been hits over the years that really go viral, that signify. I believe this is going to be the new shirt.
Space Force, space, 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 force, space force, space, 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 force, space force, space.
Get your order first. Infowarsstore.com, Infowarslife.com, or 888-253-3139.
Doing a tremendous amount of work in space.